What's going on, hockey fans? It is finally here. Power Rankings Week, baby. We gave it one extra week. We've gotten every team in the Premier and Elite to play a game coming into this show except for the New York Aviators. So we start before we do the Elite or the Premier, and we let you know they cannot be in the first Power Rankings just because they haven't taken the ice yet. You have to play a game to qualify, but I guarantee you the Aviators are a team, I said at the beginning of this season, I think might just win the Mid-Atlantic Division in the Premier. We'll see what they can do in the Elite as well. I love the squad that Mike Stanaway's bringing in, but before we can rank the Elite and Premier top teams, the top 10 in the Elite, and for the first time ever, the top 20 in the Premier, I introduce in, here live from Auburn, Maine, the home of the first Scoutcast broadcast of all time, my right-hand man, Mike Consigliere, mon frere from another mare, Lucas Jones. What's going on?
This is awesome. We get to record a Power Rankings on site from the site of our first ever Scoutcast. It was a lot of fun between the Twin City Thunder and the Boston Advantage. This feels old school. This is how we used to record the Dan K Show before the COVID pandemic forced us onto Zoom, and we're right back in it. And you're immediately panicking because normally you've got screens and rosters and everything, and now we have to go. We've got screens here, screens there. We are ready to rock and roll. This was both tough and in some ways things kind of fell into place very naturally.
Yeah, and we start off in the Elite. Let's start the Elite Power Rankings. You're watching at home right now. Tweet to us with hashtag Power Rankings at @the_NK Show. Reach out to us on social media. Let us know what you think we got wrong, right, whatever. Chirp us all you want. Number 10, Lucas, this team sneaks in. And this is more what we talk about in the Power Rankings. Less about record, less about what this team can be by the end of the year. This isn't a predictional spot. I don't know what predictional is, but this is a spot that they've fallen into because of injuries right now to some of their top guys. Their top scorer right now on the shelf for a couple weeks, the Richmond Generals at number 10 in the Elite.
Yeah, Richmond right now, I mean, they're in fourth place in the Southeast, 7-3-1. Good for 16 points. It's really a three-way tie for second at that point in terms of points. But you're right. I mean, it's just an issue with injuries right now. So this is a moment for Richmond where they lose some of their top scorers. A couple of injuries, guys go down. They have a bit of a tough road, tough by their standards, right? And I think right now to be 10th in the Elite is just a reflection on that, and nothing more.
The Deluminator is going to have to come up big.
Yep.
This is a team. Netminding is going to be huge for them, of course. But Brady Kangas, Wesley Wilding, and look no further than the Brian the Illuminator show. These guys are going to have to light up the room right now because you lose Trey Schamberger, who's just such a big piece of that team, and this team is going to have to fill that space. The Generals in 10 right now. We will tell you this season we will have the GMU Sport Powered Performance of the Month. That'll, for the first month, be our number one ranked teams in the Elite and Premier, but after this, it'll always be the team that has moved the furthest. Watch out for Richmond's Elite. They might be the team that does that next month. Before that, we talk about a team that beat the Richmond Generals with Dan K on the call in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Another squad from Bridgewater, but this one in mass, the Bridgewater Bandits, who stole away a big win from the defending champion Generals.
Yeah, it's a huge victory, right? And regardless of injuries, regardless of the status of anything, it was a concerted effort by the Bridgewater Junior Bandits to be able to win that one. 9 games played in the season, 5-3-1, good for 11 points, and first place in that North Division. They are led by a couple of really impressive skaters. Their top scorer right now, Liam Norton, in 9 games, 5 goals, 6 assists, good for 11 points. Making things happen on the power play has been a part of what's led to the success.
My favorite player to watch so far, 5 goals and an assist on the year, was Kyle Wilson. And Wilson, you're screaming like Tom Hanks after a volleyball floating away in the ocean when you are a defenseman watching him skate by you. He's got speed. He's not afraid to wear the hit and make the play. Kyle Wilson is a highlighter player for Dan K. And you also, then you look at the blue line, Gagnon was somebody who I really enjoyed watching. Gagnon is a guy who, he shoots the puck from the blue line. Sam Gagnon. This isn't a point guy. This is a both ends guy. He's a grinder. He's going to grind it out for you from the blue line. Watch out for Gagnon there at the 9 spot, the Bridgewater Junior Bandits. We got to go quicker this year because we've got 30 teams to rank. Let's go to number 8. You've got a friend in me.
Ba-doom, ba-boom, boom.
You got the Pal Junior Islanders.
Ba-boom, ba-boom, boom.
PAL, it's the Pal Junior Islanders who take the 8th spot in the Elite, and this is exciting for us, Lucas. This is a newcomer to the Elite, the first ever time in the top 10 for the Pal Junior Islanders in Elite hockey.
Yeah, I mean, and they've certainly earned it. They have worked their way up. 8 games played, 4-3-1 in the season, 9 points right now. They've got a positive goal differential at +10 as well. The squad, I think, can be best described as well-rounded, yet electric, right? It is a team that can kind of do it all, but when the individual guys get going, they are a lot of fun to watch. They've got some wingers up top, but really, I think what I was impressed by was the performances of Peter Allen, the defenseman. No goals, 6 assists. But as a defenseman, your job is to create. Your job is to get the boys going a little bit, and I think Allen does that really well.
Brian Herzl and Christopher Lucenti. Look at these two in net. These guys, a 1.65, a 1.96. You've also got Griffin Riggins in there. These are 3 netminders who are doing things for this squad. Pal gets enough out of the net right now in a tough division. They get enough from scoring. You talked about Hobbs. I like Chris O'Hea. I like Andrew Wurst. I like these guys. Andrew Wurst might be the best. I like watching him play. And this is a fun team to watch right now. I'm excited to see what Pal has in store. It's a tough division. They're going to go through it. They're going to be tested every day by a team that sits in front of them as well. Number 7, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. Last year, in their first season in the Elite, there were 7 in our first power rankings ever. This year, in their second season, there's 7 in the first power rankings of the year yet again. They proved us wrong immediately following the last power rankings. Wilkes-Barre might just do it again. This is a deep squad at 8-2.
Yeah, I mean, 16 points so far through the season. And again, it's all about building that depth. That they are able to run, it seems like every player out there in every situation and able to get some things done. Di Matteo, 12 goals, 3 assists.
15 points.
15 points to start off. But I think it's those moments where watching him in person, the ability to move up the sides of the ice and just get around everybody, it feels like, right? Once the puck's on his stick, the reason why he's got 12 goals is because he's so fast. That whole squad is built to complement that.
You know who I think the top gun is? Do you know who I think is lighting the way for the wagon that is the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights? Maverick Rudolph. The best name in hockey, also one of the best players. 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points in the year for this young man. And then look no further than Matt Ketchum. This guy, forget about Ash Ketchum, forget about Pokemon, forget about catching them all. Ketchum is catching every puck. 9.54 saves percentage in a 3-0 start to the season. A 1.67 goals against average. This young man has been lights out. He's got a shutout to his name. The Wilkes-Barre wagon continues to roll through the Elite, Premier, and now the NCDC. Congratulations to them on their inaugural season at the National Collegiate Development Conference level. Number 6. This is exciting. First time to ever crack the top 6 in program history in the Elite. The Potomac Patriots. Lucas, this squad, right now points-wise, they have games in hand, in first place in the Southeast.
I mean, you talk about a team that has been rebuilt from the ground up. The Potomac Patriots have been one of our most favorite squads to watch because every year they don't just grow a little bit, they grow by leaps and bounds. And it's been great to watch that organization build. And look at them now. I mean, yes, they have games in hand, but you look at a team with 18 points, 9-3 on the season, plus 20 goal differential, 52 goals for, 32 goals against. Potomac has built themselves up to be one of the top competitive teams, not just in the South Division, but in the entire USPHL, Dan.
Zarand Varga is the leading point getter in the entire USPHL Elite. If we made an all-Dan K team today, he would be my first pick in the entirety of the Elite. This guy is unbelievable. 7 goals, more importantly, 18 helping hands, 18 assists on the year, 25 points. It's a 2.5 point per game average. You look at Sesme with 11 and 11. That's even scoring. I love even depth scoring. Remember a guy from the Rockets that had evenness in scoring. You have this ability to score the puck, but you also have the ability to give the helping hand. Cooper Sen with 3 and 11, 4 and 9 for Liam Hanna. You're just seeing a lot of guys who are willing to pass the puck, who are willing to create, and it just makes the game fun to watch. When you look in net for this side, it's Radovanovic. This guy is unbelievable. Lights out, 2 goals a game for him, giving up over 9 on the saves percentage world. Potomac is tough to deal with.
And we'll see if they're able to hold their position, especially as the other teams catch up on games. But I have a feeling we're going to be watching a Potomac Patriots team that is absolutely steaming towards the playoffs.
Number 5, no rush making this pick, the Charlotte Rush. They sit at number 5 right now, and this is where you start to get to like Angriesville for everybody, right? Because how do you pick the top 5 right now in this elite? The Charlotte Rush at number 5 are 8-3-0-0, 46-29 goals for to goals against. The roster's deep, the squad there, the coaching staff behind the bench, they know how to win the game. This is almost like you put the Rush number 5 and you might have just created a monster.
Yeah, and you'll say, well, the Charlotte Rush are in that 3-way tie there for second place in the Southeast, and we rank them ahead of Potomac. But it's a couple of different things, right? And the games in hand are a part of that calculus. But I think looking at the Charlotte Rush, I think their defense is very good, as it is every year. Their offense is great. It's a deep team as well. I mean, they have a good strength of schedule. I think everyone in the Southeast has a great strength of schedule. But I think one of the things that really gets me, Dan, is how balanced that scoring is. There isn't one guy you can shut down.
Don't fall asleep on another great name in defenseman Wilder Outman. This guy's never out of it, man. This guy's always in the game. How about Yanni Satsoulis? Satsoulis, this guy is absolutely... Satsoulis, I believe, is Greek for great. Great hockey player. 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points on the year. They've got 3 different guys averaging more than a point per game. Ben Pearson being one of them from the defenseman position. Ben Pearson might be the best defenseman in the country right now in the elite.
Yeah, I think there's a strong argument for that because he plays well on defense, but also has 12 points to his name right now. 4 goals, 8 assists. An impressive performance for anyone, let alone a defenseman who can also get physical.
I'm wriggling around because number 4, it is the Florida Eels. This organization, yet again, the Scarpacci family, building this squad, 6-1 on the year. They beat the Charlotte Rush head-to-head in the early part of the season. So that puts them ahead of them here at number 4 with the Rush at number 5. This Eels team, I had them at 2. I had them at 1. I had them at 3. I had them at 4. Now they sit at 4. Florida Eels love this squad early on in the season.
Yeah, I think beating the Charlotte Rush is huge for this team. It's a statement victory early on. That's what you want. You want to be able to establish yourself. Coming in with 12 points, including an overtime win, I think this is another good example of a team that there's no one person you can shut down, as is classic Florida Eels hockey. They play well as a team, but if you yell scatter, all 5 guys that are on the ice can get the job done. I mean, Bailey Kaiser is a familiar name, putting up 6 points, a huge ad for the Florida Eels. 5 goals, 1 assist in his first 7 games. You cannot overstate the addition of a guy like Kaiser.
How about the web spinner? How about Spider-Man? Evan Spinella in net. Comes from the Tampa Bay Juniors, jumps over to the Florida Eels, and immediately making waves with that squad, making things happen. This team can get it done better than most. Alexander Klingerman, this is a guy the whole team's going to cling on to when they need a win. 6-1 on the year, they sit in 4th. We get to number 3. This is where the reason why the Eels fell from 2 to 4 right now is I undervalued. And I'm going to call myself out right now, Lucas. All year I undervalued the North last year in the Elite.
Yep.
I don't know what it was. I kept looking at it, kept shaking it, kept cutting it, look at what IHC and Northern did last year at Nationals. Both making a semifinals march. Northern going to the finals, giving Richmond all they had. Islanders Hockey Club at number 3. They're 3-1-1 to start the season. 3-1-1-1. That's all the ones. Every one you could possibly get.
Using up all 4 spaces.
All the spaces. Coach Punske and the Islanders Hockey Club Elite. Dylan Reynolds leading the way with 9 points. This is a fun team.
Yeah, and I think you're right. We kind of, every year, the Islanders Hockey Club, it kind of sits down in the rankings, and every year we hear from the Islanders Hockey Club, you guys are sleeping on us. Well, guess what? We're out ahead of you this time. I don't want to hear no chirping from the Islanders Hockey Club. I don't want to hear any chirping from the Northern Cyclones. You've made your point. These are deep teams. They get off to the slow start in the game total column.
Yeah.
I think that's what sometimes can cause that. But you know what? With the games that they do play, so impressive, so dominant. And again, you've got guys with 9 points, 8 points, 7 points. I look to the defenseman Connor Horn, who's got 5 points, getting involved on the power play. Sound
like
the
horn.
horn. That
Sound
was
the
actually
horn.
incredible.
Wasn't that pretty good?
Great work on that.
It really rang throughout the rink here in Auburn, Maine. I think I might have scared Dan Hodge.
But I look at what IHC does in the defensive end, and I think it's impressive year in and year out.
100% Gabriel LeDuc. Watch out for him. The Duke, baby. He is an absolute king on the ice. Number 2, same division. Again, I'm not falling for it with the first power rankings of the year. You guys in the Southeast and Florida, you can all prove me wrong, and you can chirp me, and I love it. That's what we want, right? That's what we want. We want to wake up the boys. We want to be bulletin board material. I want to be a dartboard in the office for you guys. I want a little picture of Dan K, draw a dartboard around it, boom, hitting bullseyes all day. Number 2, the Northern Cyclones. This team beats the Richmond Generals in a shootout. They're 5-0. They've got 2 shootout W's this year, 10 points on the year. Yes, they're a point behind the Bandits, but they have 4 more games to play in hand.
Northern Cyclones really putting Lucas's shootout theory to the test here by seemingly only collecting shootout wins through the first 5 games. The one thing that I think stands out for me about Northern and why I'm so high on them being number 2 is 9 goals allowed over 5 games. The quick math on that is less than 2 goals per game. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
That's a pretty good total right there. You can't do much better than that. 22 goals for. I say it every year about the Northern Cyclones. I'm not concerned about the goals for total. That is not Northern Cyclones hockey. You look towards the goals allowed. You see the incredible defense. That is what this team is about. They will knock you down. They will drag you out. And then they're going to come away with a win.
Michael Anstey, 2 starts. He's 2-0 with a shutout. 977 saves percentage. 0.5
Ridiculous.
goals against.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Maximilian Pierce, 2-0 on the season. 138 goals against. 963 saves percentage. This team saves in bunches. And you want to know my favorite plumber? It certainly isn't Chris Pratt's rendition of Super Mario. It is Tim Plummer. Tim Plummer is coming. The Northern Cyclones will beat you because Tim Plummer's behind the bench. How about that?
That was great. That was completely improv. You're welcome.
Number 1, the Carolina Junior Canes. Don't at me. Don't come at me. This is the best team in the Elite today. Brad Gaylord, Street Jocks helping out in the bench. This is the best team today in the Elite. Keep pointing. 8-1 on the season. This team is 43 goals for, 10 goals against. That is nearly 1 goal per game. That's stupid good, as they say.
That's pretty incredible. At 1.1 goals allowed per game is a seemingly inhuman stat. We just finished talking about the great defense from Northern. I am a firm believer that you can have as many goals as you want. I honestly don't care how many goals you score. But what separates the good teams from the great teams is how many they let up. Because every once in a while that offense is going to fail you. As 2 Yankee fans, we know about how offense can suddenly disappear at a moment's notice. What saves you is the defense. I'm incredibly impressed with the Carolina Junior Canes defensive effort.
4 goaltenders have made a start for Carolina in the Elite this year. Nathan Rhodes made 1 start. He was perfect and pitched a shutout. 1,000 saves percentage. Then you look at Jacob Sanders. He's 2-0 on the year, 0.54 goals against, a 958 saves percentage. Then you look at Pavel Manutanen, and this guy, he has a 3-0 record, a 6.8 goals against, 976 saves percentage. Then a 944 and a 146 goals against for Tristan. Sing it high for me. Falsetto! The former Florida Junior Blade, now with the Carolina Junior Canes. Falsetto! Doing it again. Watch out for Tristan. This kid's lights out. Incredible in the net. This team, unstoppable. Get out of their way. Carolina Junior Hurricanes. GMU Sport is proud to announce that you are the Powered Up by GMU Powerhouse of the Month. Carolina Junior Canes, Lucas, how exciting is that for you, the GMU Sport Powerhouse of the Month?
It's incredibly exciting. I think it's a huge deal right now to talk about a team that just gets it done. They're just getting it done all over the place. They're making Dan comedically fall. He's shaking the camera. Apologies for you folks who are watching it at home. But, Dan, it's time to go to a place we've never really been before. And we've been to a lot of places.
Top 20 in the Premier, baby. All right, hockey fans, it is time for the first ever Top 20 in the USPHL Premier. The USPHL prides itself on being your pathway to college hockey. And in the Premier, we are going to mimic what you see at the NCAA ranks with the top 20 nationwide. Over 70 teams competing, 20 teams to put in the top 20. Remember, you can tweet to us with your anger, your angst, or your happiness and jubilation at @the_NK Show. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can reach out anywhere and let us know what you think we got wrong, we got right, whatever. Top 20, a lot of choices, Lucas. We narrowed it down to 28. We got it to 25. We've brought it to 20. Number 20, the first ever number 20 in Power Rankings history from the Midwest East at 3-0. It's the Fort Wayne Spacemen. Major Tom to goal control, 21 goals in just 3 starts.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of offense, right? And a lot of offense in a division that, I mean, just continues to, I think, improve, right? And I think that's the most important part. Fort Wayne Spacemen right now, 21 goals for, 9 goals against. Right now being led by a skater who's got stats as big as a state. It's Noah Maine. In 3 games.
We're in Maine.
And we're in Maine.
This is Maine.
Talking about Noah Maine. You know what? I know a Maine. We're in it right now. Noah Maine on the ice, 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points in just 3 games.
One of the best defensemen in the league. He reminds me of Evan Axel from last year with the Steele County Blades. We've seen his success. Then you add to Noah Maine. Noah Maine, an all-Dan K team member, by the way, as well. Then you add to Noah Maine a familiar face from the Connecticut Junior Rangers who makes the move to Fort Wayne in net. Bryce Dunnigan. Dunnigan with a 2.0 goals against, a 9.20 saves percentage in the early portion of the season. This is a Fort Wayne Spacemen team that will be difficult to deal with all season long. They sit at 20 right now. That is an accomplishment. If you were in the top 20 in this league expands from Seattle to San Diego to Southern Florida up to Maine. If you were in the top 20 in this league, you are a world beater. You are a great team nationwide. Fort Wayne, congratulations to you. Number 19, we go to the mountains. Climb, Lucas, climb. The Northern Colorado Eagles.
Well, the Northern Colorado Eagles right now sit just atop points-wise this division. Yes, they have games in hand on the rest of the division. 8 games played. The rest of the division has played 5. But I think that doesn't take away from the performances that they have had. They're beating some tough teams out there, nearly doubling their goals for as much as their goals against, which we've seen is a tough thing to do in the Mountain Division, right? It's a very offensive division, a lot of physicality, a lot of guys scoring a lot of points. But right now for Northern Colorado, 5-3, giving them 10 points and holding on to first place as of right now in the Mountain.
Yeah, and you look at it, Ulrich Roussel has been the leader in net, 9.27 saves percentage, 2.02 goals against. Charles Anthony Barbeau, goaltender so nice they named him thrice, also between the pipes for this Northern Colorado side. The Eagles can get it done, and Marc-Antoine Prince, this ain't no pauper, man. This is Prince. This guy's a king when it comes to ice level. This young man, 11 points on the season. And Eric Brink, Lucas, 12 for him, 6-6.
Yeah, I mean, when you start talking about getting close to double digits, guys over a point a game, that's pretty impressive performance. I think for Northern Colorado, they've got a tough task ahead of them as they continue to battle in the Mountain. Yeah,
and don't forget about Xavier Fortin, a familiar face there, Quinn O'Reilly, guys who have played big games before for Northern Colorado. They're able to beat everybody right now. They can beat Ogden. They can beat Utah. I don't think there's a team in the Mountain that can't beat someone else. This is going to be one of the, if not the most difficult divisions to get out of to nationals this season. I'm excited to see what they have. We go to number 18. We have the Northern Colorado Eagles. Signs. Follow the signs. Follow the numbers. N, Northern. First word, Northern. Northern. Go north into the mountains. We were in the mountains. Come out of the mountains. Go north. New. It's a new team, New Hampshire. Northern Cyclones. Bill Dubs. Bill Dubs. Bill Dubs. Bill Dubs. The Cyclones are rolling in. And Bill Dubs gotta win. Right?
I didn't know there was going to be more to that song.
There's 3-0. Bill Dubs, baby. I love Bill Dubs.
Listen,
Bill Wyan, baby.
You play 3 games.
Tell me why and dang, nothing but a Cyclones win. Tell me why and dang, nothing gonna beat them. Tell me why and Bill and the boys are on the ice. Cyclones in 18th. I'm not gonna hit the high note. Go ahead. What do you got?
I got nothing, I don't think. No, I mean, the Northern Cyclones, again, you talk about the defensive effort in 3 games, 3 wins, 12 goals for, 4 goals allowed, right? Mm-hmm. So it comes back to defense for Northern. They always get off, again, to a slow start games played-wise, but I don't think that's an issue right now. And the points getters as long as they stay well distributed, right? You've got your guys at the top, a three-way tie for first right now, Abramson, Orgill, and Swain, that are sitting at the top with 5 points each. As long as that stays distributed and you don't get one guy that gets focused on, that's what makes Northern so difficult to play.
I just love the way they play, and you look in net, you get John Angerman, who's angering a lot of hockey players, I'll tell you that much. These two, Angerman and Jeffrey Fillion, 9.50 for Angerman, 9.36 for Fillion. I know it's the first 3 games. I know it's early in the year, but this might be the team to beat in this division if there wasn't one other team we might talk about on this list. It's going to be an exciting division down the stretch here in the New England. Again, another time, in the North and in New England, we undersold the New England division last year in the Premier for sure, and Northern in 18th might be an undersell right now. Remember, the GMU powered-up performance of the month. It's going to be the highest team to climb. Northern Colorado, Fort Wayne, these are all teams that could climb by the time we're doing this next month in the beginning of November. Number 17, the Midwest West. Everybody just beats everybody. It makes it so hard to rank these teams. The Blue Ox at number 17. Jay Witta, he's got a lot of guys who he's moved on to college. He's had to replace a lot of familiar faces. 16 goals, 9 goals against. 3-1 for Jay Witta. It might as well be like 1-15 for anybody else because we're just used to Jay winning every single game. He's just so great.
Yeah, doing a great job, right? Building teams. Building a great community as well. Tons of sponsorships out there. The in-rink experience, second to none out there. Right now sitting at 3-1, good for second place, 6 points in the Midwest West Division. It's still early for these guys. It's a lot of new faces in that locker room. They're still getting to know each other, even though the Blue Ox do so much with their off-season, so much with their training camp. I think the biggest thing right now is you have to look towards the guys who are kind of coming back, right? The leaders in the locker room. Jared Petty,
who's a newcomer from the Minnesota Mullets. It's a big ad for Jared Petty.
Is going to have to work in well now with some of these guys, the more familiar faces. And I think once that synergy starts to happen, that's where you get to a situation where the wins start to pile up.
And you know what's happening in net? Eli's a coming. Hide your hearts, other teams. Because guess what? Elias and Eli are both between the pipes for this team. If your name starts with ELI and you are a netminder in Coon Rapids, Minnesota, you are having a great time. These guys stop pucks in bunches. Mark Abrego, you got Griffin Bourassa. Nobody's booing Bourassa. They're not saying boo. I think they're saying boo Rasa. This guy can score. Griffin soaring like a lion with wings. Gabriel Myers down the list at the defenseman position. 2 goals for him already from the blue line. Watch out, because this is an undersold Jay Witta bunch. It's early. They're figuring it out, and figuring it out to the tune of 3-1. Like, not most teams figure things out at 3-1. They're doing it. Number 16, gonna make some enemies with this one. The killer's gonna be mad. Kilcoyne, Jason Kilcoyne, the Rockets Hockey Club at 16. And Lucas, this is just coming off of a national championship. 3-2-0 to start the season with 6 points, 25 goals for 10 goals against. This isn't a bad 16. This is 16 still puts you at nationals, right? Like, this is Joe Quigley. This is Yakov Yaksin. This is John Quigley, Caden Martin. Like, Spencer Hecklinger, who comes over to this side. Like, there's so much talent in this locker room right now for the Rockets Hockey Club. I just think that it's another team like Minnesota getting the legs on them right now and figuring it out.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be another team like the Blue Ox that once all the pieces kind of fall into place, they're going to be a really dangerous squad right now. I got to watch them in person on the last day of the showcase in Bridgewater. Max Toomey is an absolute force to be reckoned with. I mean, they just have him kind of floating around right now, fitting in with a lot of different pieces of the puzzle. Spencer Hecklinger, another really huge piece of the puzzle for them. A physical player, a fast player, kind of getting it done. But I think, again, a deep team that just needs to put the pieces together.
Liam Gross has been, well, filthy in net. I'll tell you that much. He's 2-1 on the season. He's a really good netminder. You look at what the Rockets can do. Last year, it was a slow burn, right? All season long, we had them in the 10 range. They were tied for 10th on 3 different power rankings last year, outside of the top 10 on all the others. Never went higher than 10 and won the national championship. We were wrong. We might be wrong again with putting them at 16. Let's see if we're wrong about this one. Number 15, the top squad in the New England division, undefeated, along with the Cyclones, who are undefeated. 5-0, 10 points on the year, 26 goals for, 11 against for the Islanders Hockey Club. How about those Icelanders?
Well, the Islanders right now, giving up just over 2 goals a game. That's a really good, consistent defensive effort. Scoring a bunch as well with 26 goals for over 5 games played. That means they're averaging over 5 goals scored. So you're talking about an average differential of +3. That's really good for a team coming out of the New England division. Your top scorer right now for the Islanders Hockey Club.
Oh, you went for it.
Oh, I thought I knew how long it was going to take to load.
Computer almost gave you the shaft or the Michael Schaff.
It did. The new computer, too. The audacity of the new technology did not work exactly in the time I needed to. Michael Schaff right now, 10 points. The reason I love Schaff right now is because he got 9 assists and 1 goal, and he's the top points getter. This guy is the helper. He is the brains behind the operation. He's finding the guys and making it happen. That, I think, is a huge asset to have. I'm a big believer in the strength of a team when your top scorer is your assist guy.
I'm a big believer in aliens. It's got to be something out there. But you know what else I'm a big believer in? Jesper Seberg. This guy's sailing the 7 seas to score goals. He's been incredible. And then how about Ian Badgett in net for this side? 2-0 on the season, .964 saves percentage, 132 goals against. He's only allowed 4 by on 110 shots faced. Those numbers are ridiculous. Let's go to number 14 in the Southeast. This is the first time this team in the Premier has ever been in a power ranking. Look at the growth happening in Potomac. I absolutely love it. The pumpkin pie off the charts. The tailgates are unbelievable. The international exchange. These guys have players from all over the world coming together, speaking the language of hockey. What a job by ownership in Potomac. It is the Gratz effect, baby. Grossi and Gratzi getting the job done. The Potomac Patriots at 14. This team just can't lose. 17-2 between the Elite and Premier in their last 19 games at both levels.
That's a huge accomplishment, right? It's a huge accomplishment for any team across the board. And again, I think it's proof positive that for Potomac right now, the sky is the limit. You're at 8-3. That's good for 16 points, 54 goals for, 29 goals against. That's a good defensive effort, especially in a division that's as tough to play in as the Southeast. Top point getter right now, Valerie Neeb. I mean, just when you talk about a centerman who is your everything guy, who can do it all, skates with speed, skates with strength, and loves to put on a little bit of a show, too. 4 goals, 4 assists, good for 18 points. Love the way Neeb plays the game.
The Igloo in net, Iglovsky, 5-0 on the season. This young man has 2 shutouts to his name already. 132 saves on 141 shots faced, .936 saves percentage, 1.52 goals against average. They are doing the job on both ends of the ice. This is a 200-foot team. We were told by multiple people, this isn't your grandparents' Potomac Patriots.
Nope.
This is a newcomer to the world. They are just, the sky is the limit for Potomac. I'm going to say it right now on the air. Don't be surprised if they win at least one national title this year. Watch out for Potomac. They are battle-tested, battle-ready, battle-hardened.
And one person I want to call out in particular is Moritz Persson, who I watched a lot of Potomac Patriots hockey this past weekend. I was super impressed with Persson's ability to find open space, and if there is none, create it. I think he's a guy who skates with his head up really well. Eyes are always looking to where he can be the most effective. Not big on the point sheet right now in terms of overall points, but in terms of points per game, 6 points through 3 games with the squad. So I think he's going to be making an impact with this team almost immediately. Just going to be a huge asset.
What else made an impact immediately for me was a hiccup mid-broadcast.
Ooh.
But Max Nystrom, Valerie Neeb, Matvey Nomov is just so good, so fun to watch, 9-6. You've got a guy like Joshua Kingsbury with 10 assists on the year from the blue line. Like, this team is fun to watch. Let's go to number 13. This is a team, let's go, Dan K, out west. It's a beautiful, beautiful vacation spot, even better place to live. Sunshine.
Sounds nice.
It's so nice, and we're going to be going after the Cali Cup. And I'll tell you what, shredding in our baby. We got the San Diego Sabres. They might not be undefeated like the Ontario Junior Reign in this division, but they have had the toughest schedule in the Pacific. I love this Ontario Reign team. Ontario doesn't crack the top 20. We We literally had them ranked at 21.
Yep.
They were basically in a tie with Fort Wayne in our rankings. And Ontario at 7-0, I just feel like they need to be battle tested this month. We need to see a couple more out of them, and that's where we want to get chirped. Chirp us and use this as bulletin board material. I love Jeremy Blooms and the crew up there in Ontario. They love their hockey. They love their junior reign. Chirp the Dan K Show. Hashtag chirp. San Diego, though, 7-2. This team took it to Fresno. This team took it to Vegas and took 2 out of 3 in both of those series. Doesn't get much more difficult than that road in the first month of the season.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, and it's so tough, too, because in the first part of the season, you don't have the wide amount of data to be able to choose from, and you don't always get the matchups that you want to see right away. But I think for the San Diego Sabres, on the Scoutcast, I just finished talking about the Boston Advantage, who have a very close goal differential and have a winning record. And I'm a huge fan of teams that have a close goal differential. San Diego right now, 28 goals for, 21 goals against in 9 games. Not a ton of goals scored, but very few goals given up, again, is a winning recipe for me. I think that this is a team that is going to continue to be successful. I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to rely on their top 2 guys, Paganini and Novak. These are their 2 top scorers right now, and I think they only have room to grow.
Even more of a guy to rely on for this team is in net, and that's Ethan Blackburn, who is 6-1 in 7 starts, a .943 saves percentage. He's seen 264 shots already in 7 games. He's only allowed 15 by. That is unbelievable numbers. 2.14 goals against, 2 shutouts on the season. Watch out for Blackburn. Watch out for Mario Paganini. Lucas, you're kind of diving in. This guy is so stellar, so strong. Let's dig in to the next team on the list here.
Yeah, so getting into now, we're up to number 12, and it's interesting because you have to adjust now. Because normally in the power rankings, we're getting the high energy bits. Dan K's starting to get a little bit of a rant on. Not yet. Hold on
Here's
to the
a rant.
ranting.
I got a rant for you right now. I got one. We go to the Midwest West. This could have been the Squatch. This could have been the Moose. This could have been the Mullets. This could have been the Blades. This could have been Isanti. But no, who is it? Only 1 game played. Dan! But they've played just 1 game. But look at the returning talent on this roster. Not only do they get players to Division III hockey in the NCAA, they also send coaches with the great Brett Wally, heading off to Lawrence out there in Wisco to put together an absolute NCAA Division III powerhouse. Eisenstark, Noonan, Ben Stewart. They bring over Jacob Jacuz from the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings, Logan Milhausen, Brad Crook, Asher Page, Cooper Anderson. In net, this team is stellar. The Hudson Havoc, I know it's 1 game. I know they're 1-0. But this is going to be a team that has a Brett Wall mentality defensively with a little bit more open ice action under the new coaching staff there. This is going to be a fun team to watch all season long. This team reminds me of what the Blue Hawks were to me last year, which the Blue Hawks just returned so much talent last season. You felt like they couldn't lose. Hudson feels that way this year.
Yeah, they really do. And with only 1 game under the belt, we're taking a shot here, right? We're kind of putting ourselves on the line to go to bat for
putting our chickens in the egg basket.
To go bat for a Hudson team that looks like they are going to be one of the top squads. I just think it's an impressive performance to start. A lot of roster confidence is what we'll say.
Speaking of roster confidence, let's go to Holy Toledo. The Cherokee are in the building. The Toledo Cherokee 4-1-0, and you want to talk about one of the toughest losses on the planet to put on the card. The only loss to the Metro Jets, who are perennial powerhouses in the Great Lakes Division in the USPHL. Nicholas Milhorn has taken on that Bailey Bird role in the scoring half of the ice. 7 goals for him already. But the real name for me, Jason Crossland. 5-5, even strength in scoring. Crossland, talk about cross-ice passes. He comes over from Metro where he had 26 and 14. Crossland is a big ad for Kenny Miller and his Toledo Cherokee.
Yeah, I think it's huge, right? And again, an immediate impact guy. But when you're putting a division up against the Metro Jets, you're always going to be battle tested, right? Whether it's the Metro Jets development program in the Midwest East, you're always going to have a strong matchup when you play them. And for the Cherokee, I think every year it's that mentality. It is the idea that we get out there and score, we get out there and we hit. We get out there and we take no prisoners regardless of what is happening out there on the ice. I love Toledo. It's roster confidence. It's proof in the pudding. It's a little bit of everything.
And they've got 3 netminders in Shiflett, Hitchner, and Murphy. that are trying to figure out who's going to be the guy, right? Who's going to be the guy now that Bernstein's gone, who is backing up the great Joey Cormier. Like, Cormier was so leaned on heavily in Toledo. They've got to figure out who's going to be the guy. Somebody's going to take the reins in net for Toledo, and it's going to be exciting to watch. 4-1 on the year in 11th. Let's go to 10. Bum, bum, ba-da-da-da-ba, ba. Start spreading the news. The rivalry's back. Hampton Roads at 10. Brad Jones is gonna kill us.
Well, he might just come after me. He doesn't mind you, but for some reason that whole organization doesn't like me.
Well, you picked against them back in the day.
Well, like a couple of times, and then they won. So I don't know what the big deal is. I can tell you though that right now the big deal for Hampton Roads is 11-3 in 14 games.
Lucas. Go ahead.
Good for 22 points.
62 goals for, 30 goals against. This is, you talked about Potomac is not your grandparents' Potomac. This is your grandparents' Potomac. This is reminding me of the Wizard of Osmondson. This is reminding me of the Monk, man. You've got Max Mazarchuk, 9-9. You got Brendan Kelly, Luke Clark. Luke Clark, Kyle Watson said from across the pond, cheerio. This young man is good. He didn't say cheerio. I didn't use the British accent in honor of Kyle Watson and not doing that and doing a terrible British accent because I can only do Cockney English. All right, okay. It's like a very, very
one-dimensional, yeah.
One-dimensional. But Luke Clark, not one-dimensional. Defenseman with 8 goals. This Hampton Roads team is for real.
I think my guy from this side is John Rangel. To me, this is a player that encapsulates everything it means to be a Hampton Roads Whaler. Fast, tenacious, strong on the boards, good with the puck, huge hitting, right? It's just everything in one player. And I think I saw once or twice where I felt like he was getting a little frustrated.
Yeah.
And what he did was he took the puck and grabbed control of the game single-handedly. So I think that you've got the Mazarchuk, Kelly, Clark line for sure. You've got the Harrisons as well that were on the 4th line, but the one thing that I was talking to a couple of scouts that were there, when you talk about the Hampton Roads Whalers, he looked at me and he said, these guys don't really have a 4th line, do they? Mm-hmm. Because their 4th line can run out there as their first line and they wouldn't have a problem with it. So, I mean, Hampton Roads sits at 10 right now. I think they've got potentially a semifinal run written all over them.
Yeah, you can't pay for praising words like this, Lucas. This team plays heights hockey, I call it, like new heights. Like they take things to just different levels of the game. Hampton Roads, fun to watch this season. It's one you'd pay to watch. I pay a subscription for it.
Yeah, I mean 110%. And I think once things start to kind of even Stevens them out a little bit in terms of the schedule, I think you're going to see some movement there.
Number 9, we visited these boys. We went out and we saw this squad, and we were ready to run with them. It's the Pueblo, don't call us Pueblo Bulls. Sloppers, hot wings, awesome wooden barn, sold-out crowds, bull on the ice, literal live bull on the ice. No one believed me. Lightsabers in the crowd. Around the Hornets Network, the greatest podcast of all time, probably even better than us. I love those guys. Mario and Tristan are the best. Number 9, the Pueblo Bulls.
Yeah, Pueblo right now, 5 games played on the season, 4-1 overall. 31 goals for, only 8 goals given up, right? That's a huge number. Goes to show you how good that defensive look is. I think what they've got is they've got a really good core of players that can knock you around, can get physical. I've never seen so many clean open ice hits as I have seen from our short time in Pueblo so far. Thomas Susi leading things off.
Susie. And you know what? You feel like Susie can get it done. And how about the Axeman, Axel Clayson? How about Scott Boo Guerin? How about Egdami? How about Isaac Hood? How about this squad from top to bottom? Peter Sandin. And you look in net for this Pueblo Bulls side, you got Sunhall, you got Timmins, and Bjork. When I talked to Alex Timmins, who's got a .955 saves percentage in his first 2 starts of the season, I asked him what his goal was this year. He said to be the best netminder in the country.
Heck of a goal.
Don't set the bar low. Be better than everyone. Hashtag outwork everyone. Be better. Well, you got to innovate. Don't imitate. That's what we're trying to do here. Number 9, the Pueblo Bulls. Let's get to number 8. We go to the Florida Division, and this is a team that has fought through so much adversity in the last couple days and weeks here, Lucas, with the hurricane down in southwestern Florida. The Florida junior blades. This is the real deal. I talked to every coach that played against this junior blade side and Rocket and Lightning Rod Simmons. Like, they couldn't speak enough about the talent on this junior blade side, and Rod Simmons just does it right.
He really does, and he fights for what he believes in, right? And it's so critical as well. He's building his team, and I think he's built a really good team, right? And he's 5-1 right now in the season, and their goal differential is very favorable. Their defense has been rock solid. The biggest thing I think to come out of this squad, Dan, is the way they finish the play. They finish the game. They're treating the game with a lot of little battles, with a lot of little games inside the game, and they are finishing every single play. They're a disciplined team. I'm a huge, huge fan of what the Florida Junior Blades are putting together.
Huge fans are running around and screaming back there behind us here in the booth. They're excited about getting on the ice, and we're excited about getting to number 7. Charles Chinian's so good. Aiden Fenton, you love the squad right now. But we got to get the 7. 20 teams. We got to keep moving along. This is an outlier here. Or maybe it's not. The Utah Outliers, whose only loss this season comes in a shootout to the Ogden Mustangs, an in-division rival. 9 points on the year, 28 goals for, 8 goals against. This is a team that ranks 7. I want to see them a little more battle-tested, right? Ogden was a tough matchup for them. They played Northern Colorado. I want to see a couple more battle tests in them. I want to see them against Pueblo in a weekend series. Want to see them against Ogden again. Want to see them against Northern Colorado. Need a little more out of them to get higher than 7. But right now, 7 feels like the right spot for this deep roster.
Well, and I think the thing about that loss, too, is that, yes, it's a shootout loss, right? But any loss against an in-division rival is going to feel like a big one, right? And everyone's going to treat it like a big one. That's why you have those rivalries, right?
You're going to celebrate, you're going to make noise, and you're going to act like you just won the Stanley Cup.
100%. And you've earned that right? Because you got to win the game. Don't let it go to a shootout, right? As much as I like to say it's the most exciting coin flip in hockey, there's still points attributed to it. So I think for Utah, though, they learn from that, right? They go back, they watch the film, they get things going, and they've got a really solid squad underneath them, too. In 5 games played, they've only given up 8 goals. So when you talk about a team that is locked down defensively, that is getting the job done, look no further than Utah. I really like the way that Miles McHugh is playing the game. Centerman right now, 3 goals, 9 assists, 9 points on the season, 1.8 points a game. That is a no-nonsense, get-it-done skater.
Petty piece. Miles McHugh always goes the extra miles. Lucas Ouellette, Cale Delzer. Like, this is a team. William Cohen, man. You love the squad they put together. This is a team that's ready to win hockey games right now. And, talked to Kevin McCloskey about the roster, and he said, we're still a piece away, still 2 pieces away. But what they do so well there is they don't subtract, right? They build the team, and then they just continue to add to that roster as time goes on. They add, right? And it's like, you look at it right now, this is a team at that number where they have exactly what they need. 6 defensemen, 13 forwards. They got their 3 netminders. This is a team ready to win games, and they might add an extra D-man. They might add that 7th D-man, and that might be the difference in it all. The Utah Outliers at number 7. Let's go to number 6. And how about this? New coach, new part ownership, and you know what? All lanes are leading to the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings. This is a team that it does not take a call or anything to put this team at number 6.
No, it's certainly not a hard call to make here to get the Wisconsin Rapids River Kings up. They're in first place in the division, the Midwest West right now. 4 games played, 4 wins. That makes things a little easy. 8 goals given up in those 4 games, 2 goals a game. That makes things even easier. They've really kind of taken an original approach to this too. I think right now, obviously you talk about a top scorer in Tricarico, William Tricarico. 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points. A guy who's balanced in scoring is what you want. And I think that's the big thing for the River Kings right now, is if they can keep that balance in scoring, they'll end up in a good spot. Ethan Dominy, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points. There are a lot of games left on the schedule for the River Kings, Dan. And, as long as they keep it up, I think they'll go far.
Yeah, Lucas Bryan comes over, and he's doing a great job for Paul Peckman's Wisconsin Rapids River Kings there. This new squad, new coaching staff, and this is, no apologies needed for how good this team is, right? You look at this, you cannot be a denier about this River Kings side. This right now is the best team in the Midwest West. They're 4-0. and somebody else has to prove me wrong, right? You got to go out there and beat them. That win 8-1 against the Minnesota Moose was dominating. It was a great performance from start to finish. That's a Moose team that, remember, I said was going to win 70-plus games combined with the Hudson Havoc. That was a big win for them. That is an exciting one to see. Let's go to number 5, the third Mountain team in the top 10, the Ogden Mustangs. This is a tough one, right? You could go any way in the Mountain right now with the 4 teams in the top 20 and be happy. But Ogden, I feel like, might have had the toughest schedule other than NOCO, but the best results from the toughest schedule. And that win over Utah, I felt like Utah roster-wise might have been the best team to start the season off here. Ogden beating them. For now, Ogden at number 5.
I think this is a rare instance, while I'll agree with you, Dan, where having the shootout win does actually help you to your credit because, you're playing an in-division rival. You can't overstate how much, not just that means to a ranking system, but how much it means to the guys on the ice. I like what Ogden's putting together right now. In 5 games, they've given up 11 goals. The defense is good. And, I think you got to go to Jackson Ferry. Again, balance in scoring, 3 goals, 3 assists through 5 games. You're getting guys involved in the power play. I just think this is a really well-balanced team that is not afraid to feed the puck as much as they're able to score it.
Yeah, you got Yancey and Hirschfield and Ned who are doing a great job between the pipes. You got Jake Muir, who's just a well-known name in that division, who's had success in the Mountain. This is a team that's going to be tough to deal with all year long. I wouldn't be surprised to see Utah be the number 1 team in the country at some point this year. Ogden I wouldn't be surprised of. Wouldn't be surprised of Pueblo. Wouldn't be surprised of NOCO. There's those 4 teams in the Mountain. I wouldn't be surprised if any of them sit atop the entirety of the Premier by the end of the season. Let's go to number 4. The Florida Eels at number 4. You talked about the Florida Junior Blades before. Another team that has dealt with so much adversity off the ice, away from the rink because of Hurricane Ian and just what it did to the southwestern Florida region, specifically Fort Myers and Estero. Again, before we get into the team itself, amazing roster yet again. This team has not been outside of the top 5 in our power rankings for 3 years now. The Scarpacci family, Frank, Claire, Frankie, you look at Nicole, the entire Scarpacci family, what they do with this organization to build that family feel. And their family's hurting right now. Like all the billet families in this town, the city of Fort Myers, you look at Estero as well. They need our help as a hockey community. And that GoFundMe is available in our bio on Instagram. You can go to the Dan K Show. It's available at USPHL.com. If you can, please think about supporting those families, hockey communities, and just infrastructure itself down there in the southwestern Florida area is so hurt by Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, there's really a lot going on, and there's going to be a link to the GoFundMe in the description of this episode, as well as up on social media for the Dan K Show and USPHL. But, for the Florida Eels, 6-0-1 in 7 games, 35 goals for, 18 goals against. They're led by some familiar names. They're led by a couple of really talented skaters, Easton Moore, Damon Kiwasu. These are guys that have combined for 20 points together on the season. And, Dan, I know another skater that you're pretty fond of, Maverick Krupe.
Maverick Krupe, I love. Krupe comes over from the Rush, just absolutely has dominated since coming over. But Damon Kiwasu is the key for me. I had a couple scouts finally buying in for me down in Southeast at the South Showcase in Hampton Roads. Mm-hmm. I've been saying it for 2 years now. I think this might be the best player. I said it might in last year be the best player in the country in Tier 3 hockey. It is. Damon Kiwasu is that good. He's Carl Hagelin. He stretches the ice. He just kills you on the penalty kill.
Yep.
Kills you on the power play. Kills you in the transition game. You're always thinking about where this young man is on the ice, and if he gets one step on you, he is absolutely gone. The old Louisiana Blue Bayou type player right here. He runs by everybody. Then you look in net, the biggest man in the country, Duncan Rollman, 6'6". He's got under 1.5 goals against. He's got an over 9.4 save percentage. He's got 101 shots faced. He's only allowed 6 by. This team has all the makings of a national champ.
I really think so. I think between the net minding, between the speed, they're guys that when they skate together, they're impressive. When you yell scatter and they have to go their separate ways, even more so.
You talk about a team that's built for a championship and has some good net minding. A guy that I'm telling you right now, the only other time I said I netminder I know is going to go pro was Chase Clark, who got drafted in the 5th round by the Capitals. Freddie Soderberg. I think someday down the road, this young man is going pro. He moves from MJDP to the Metro Jets. The Jets at number 3. Also, what a job by Pete Kamick, formerly from the southwestern Florida area, owner of this great Metro Jet side, one of the nicest men on the planet, not just in hockey. and donating $1,000 for the first 5 power play goals, $1,000 total to the Southwestern Florida families. Just coming up big.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an incredible contribution from him. And you talk about the Metro team. I mean, the Metro Jets, until they prove that they're no longer the Metro Jets, they're going to keep getting ranked like the Metro Jets.
Coach Q, #1 ranked handsome coach.
Yep.
#3 ranked team.
Absolutely. I mean, they're always going to score. We know that. The defense is good. We know that as well. I mean, there's only one time they haven't scored, and it was the 8 consecutive periods. Was it 2 years ago at the Chicago Showcase?
I still remember Coach Q, Chicago Showcase 3 or 4 years ago. We're wearing Mike Dick outfits.
Yep.
And he comes up to us, and they had not scored for 8 periods, and they might have rang about 55 posts over 3 games. And he looks and he goes, "You want to coach? You have any ideas to score a goal right now? Because I'm lost." And that was the only time I've ever seen Coach Q flustered. But it was great. Team comes out and wins that game. They went on a roll. I think they won 20 straight games after that, or some crazy number. This is a team that wants to win that last game. Twice since coming to the USPHL, they've been in the championship game. Twice they've lost in that game. This past year to the Rockets Hockey Club. This team wants a title. They want a chance at it. Mach 5 with Joe Mocknick, Schaumburger, Nutzel, Fluto, Andreas Fluto, ça va bien. You talk about all that. Incredible to watch. I don't know why I sounded like Dracula. My voice is getting tired here in the cold rink in Maine. #2 and #1. Both from the Southeast Division this go around on the first trip. Let's unveil them both at the same time. Lucas, unveil those names. The Charlotte Rush at 2. The Richmond Generals at 1. This was less about the records or teams they've played or strength of schedule or anything. 11-0-1 Richmond Generals, 10-0-0-1 Charlotte Rush. Is a shootout loss better than an OT loss? Kinda, I guess. Doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is that Richmond, before the season started, I said they were the deepest squad. They were the #1 team in the country. I picked them as my preseason national title winner. So they go to #1 for now. We want to be the man. You got to beat the man, and the Charlotte Rush will have plenty of chances to try to do that.
Yeah, and for me, the Richmond's got 1 more game played, but they give up 7 less goals so far in the season. So when you talk about a differentiator, for me, that's what does it. Both teams, competent offensive teams, are more than competent, right? And you look at the Charlotte Rush, we start with Shane Adler and Hunter Berry, 2 names that have combined for 40 points on the season, but I really think the star standout for me has been Azevedo, that top scorer right now, 7 goals, 16 assists, 23 points, averaging over 2 points a game.
Yeah, you look at Schramm, who makes you scram out of the way. The right winger makes things happen. Dylan Ray, Cam Perez. But in net, you can look no further than Nick Anderson. 5-0 on the year, over 9.4 saves percentage, a 1.5 area for the goals against. This young man split the net with David Bubba Battisti down the stretch last season, who moves on to college hockey. But Nick Anderson is a man on a mission to prove that he's a national title winner. Bubba got his ring when he was at Charlotte. Nick wants the same thing, and he's going to have a really good chance at it this season with how good he's been in net. And speaking of good net minding, go to the #1 side, because the goaltending inferno, Lenny Perno, I've been on a call for all 3 of his shutouts this year. When New Jersey, he went back-to-back shutty. Lenny Perno. Dominant Richmond Generals, #1.
The fact that you've been on the call for all 3 of those shootouts is like statistically significant. That is actually incredible. I feel like, are you now his personal broadcaster? Is that how that works?
I now have to travel with Lenny Perno everywhere he goes. 0.99 goals against. That's under 1 goal a game, and that's not in 1 start. That's in 6 games played. 9.55 saves percentage. 6 goals allowed and 132 shots faced. Then Jaden Lee, don't look again. 6-0. He's 6-0 in the season. Jaden Lee, 1.5 goals against average, 9.40. This team from the net out is incredible. But talk about Jack McCandless, the top point getter.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone who, when I got a chance to watch him in person, I was immediately impressed by, and I said, this guy feels like he should be near the top of that point sheet. And as it turns out, he is. Jack McCandless right now, 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points on the season.
Into the wild McCandless.
But I feel like he is the guy that the rest of the offense orbits around, right? As he moves, so too does the offense. He can get it done in the neutral zone. When he gets near the blue line, he's an absolute force, and then he'll dive right in after the puck, right? A complete player, somebody you want battling for you, somebody you want on your team. You certainly don't want to have to play them, and I feel like for the other teams in the Southeast, every time they see number 13 go over the boards, well, things get a little tense.
Depth is the story here. You look at Honstoff, Hofteaser, Williams, Petit, McCabe, Hall, Hamacher, Sawyer. This team just doesn't stop coming at you with everything they got. When they get a lead, there's nobody better right now than the Richmond Generals at just clamping down, closing up center ice, and making hockey a miserable task and endeavor to try to beat the Richmond Generals. That's it. Let's go through it. Generals 1, Rush 2, Jets, Eels, Mustangs, River Kings, Outliers, Blades, Bulls and Whalers, Cherokee and Havoc, and the Sabres and the Patriots, the IHC, the RHC, the Minnesota Blue Hawks, Northern, Fort Wayne Spacemen. Yeah!
Great work.
Brought the energy. Lucas, let's close this out. It is time to close it out. If you don't like the picks, well, guess what? Outwork everyone. Bulletin board material. Put Dan K up on the wall, throw darts at him. Whatever you got to do to prove to us, you got 3 weeks. First week in November, second power rankings. That's when the contabulator comes out. Lucas J, the J rating, will be unveiled. We'll see if our rankings match up with the robots and the computers and the algorithms. Lucas, give him a parting word. He's got nothing because I've got it all for you. Remastered Sleep. You got a Body Trick. You got the Pueblo Bulls. Run with the Bulls, baby. Our presenting sponsor. We love the boys in Pueblo. Thank you so much to Jerry Wilhite for having us out. The Pueblo Bulls are going to take over hockey. We're taking over hockey as the Dan K Show. We got to leave Maine. We got to drive to Boston. Power Rankings Week. We'll be back with more. Keep an eye out for Scoutcast everywhere we go. We got to go to Charlotte. We got to go to Boston. We got to go to Stamford, Connecticut, Florida. We got to go to Detroit. We got to go to Minnesota. We got to go back to Minnesota. We got to go to Potomac. We got to go to San Diego. We got to go everywhere in the country. We've already traveled 20,000 plus miles. My car doesn't like me, but we love you and we love hockey. Let's go. You smashed your microphone right in my eardrum. It was like punching my ear.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, pow.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.